How's it going, gamers? Alasdair here, and you are watching Minecraft Storytime number 5. So I'm gonna not do a taxi story this time. That's right, I'm gonna do a different one. This story takes place at a time when I was living in the Caribbean. I have lived in the Caribbean on and off over the last quite a few, 15 years. And my mom lives down there for most of the year, and sometimes I live there with her. Well, not so much anymore, but those days I did. So anyhow, I was there with my girlfriend, and who's actually now my wife, which is kind of cool. And so we were there. My brother was there, and he was seeing this girl. She was kind of working in another island. So the island that I was living on was called Union Island, which is part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And she was working at this island called Palm Island, which was about 3/4 of a mile away. Yeah, I mean, you could just go by a little speedboat. It's kind of cool, just the way it is down in that part of the world. So there was this other island called Happy Island. This island was built by a buddy of mine called Janty. He is a crazy man, but he is really cool because he built an island, which I don't know very many people have done that. He built the island out of those conch shells, like the ones that you put to your ear and you hear the ocean, which is really just sound waves like reverberating from your ear. Anyway, I digress. So he spent like a couple of years dumping those shells into the ocean, and then he poured concrete on them, and it became an island. And he turned it into a bar/restaurant, and it's pretty cool. So we made the arrangements with Janty. He said, "Look, we're gonna be like six people or so. My parents, me, and my girlfriend. My brother, his girlfriend. We want to have lobster. We want to have a nice time. Make it happen. Because if you give him a bit of notice, he will cook you an amazing meal. Because he's pretty good at that." So the arrangements were made, and the sun sets at around 6. So it was after 6. He came to shore, to Union Island, where we were, to pick up the 4 of us. The 5 of us, in his crappy little boat, which looks like a bathtub with a little tiny outboard engine. Now, his little island was basically built on the reef, which is at the end of the harbor of Union Island. So, I mean, we're only going maybe a couple hundred yards, like 300-400 yards from the dock to his island. Not very far. Now, there are a bunch of boats anchored out in the harbor, so you have to kind of like swerve around all those and try not to bump into them because they're worth $500,000 each. And my brother's girlfriend, who was working on Palm Island, she was coming by speedboat to meet us at this Happy Island as well. So we were all going by boat, 2 separate boats. So as we were approaching Happy Island, I was sitting at the very, very front, with my back facing where we were going. And it's just the way it is when you're sitting in little boats. It's like there's always somebody facing towards the guy who's driving the boat. And we were going, and his boat doesn't go very fast. And then all of a sudden, the boat swerves like hard turn. And as he swerves, like I'm kind of like turning around to say like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is he doing this? And as I turn my head, I just see the front of another boat hit me, like just straight up hit me. And the power of the impact of the other boat hitting our boat, basically the other boat had a pointy sort of hull. Our boat was more of like a flat square, like bathtub shaped thing. So the other boat went up and over ours and pushed our boat down into the ocean. So we were like submerged. Now the boat that we were in has like air pockets built into it, so it didn't sink, but we were submerged. All of us got wet. I was like hit, and the other boat kind of glanced off and careened off into another direction. And I was like thinking, okay, well, is everybody okay? So I was asking, is everybody okay? And like they were fine. They were all staring at me. And I then realized, like, I got hit by the boat. Nobody else did. And, like, I took the brunt of the force, which is kind of crazy. So I was like, well, that happened, and I guess I'm okay, but maybe I have a broken back and I just don't realize it. But I felt like I was okay. And it turned out I was okay, like, bruised to hell. And my back still hurts like a son of a bitch sometimes, but that's a different story. So the other boat was gone, and then eventually it came back. And as that boat came back, I realized that was the water taxi in which my brother's girlfriend was in. And the guy driving it, I recognize the boat. And I know the guy who owns the boat. And the guy driving it wasn't him. Like, he hired a night driver, kind of like in a taxi. Like, he had a night driver who was kind of an idiot because he drove into us. And they were like, "Are you okay? Like, are you sinking? Like, is anybody hurt?" And we said, "No, we're okay." So he said, "Okay, we're just going to go to Happy Island because it's right there. We're going to get onto dry land and we'll just figure it out." So we get to dry land, and I mean, my buddy Janty's boat has a big hole in it. It's still floating last time I checked, but it has a big hole in one side where the impact was. You know, my shirt was covered in this blue, they call it anti-fouling paint to stop barnacles from growing in the bottom of a boat. So my shirt was ruined. I was sore as hell. We get off, and like this girl, my brother's girlfriend, was like, "You know, this guy wanted to hit and run." He's like, "To hell with these people, we'll just keep going." She's like, "Well, first of all, you've gone past the island, and second of all, you can't hit and run, like, not with a passenger. I'm gonna do something about this. Like, fuck you." So, yeah, he said, "Well, I'm sorry," and we said, "Well, sorry isn't really that good, but I mean, what are we gonna do? You can't sue this guy because he doesn't have any money. I mean, this is a third world country." And so Janty poured us all a couple stiff drinks. He pulled out a massive spliff because he's a Rasta man. That's what Rasta men do. And we ate our lobster and we drank rum and we had a great time. But that was just the evening that we had a really nice dinner and got hit by a boat. It just happened just like that. Anyway, the story ended quite well because my brother ended up marrying that girl, and she's pretty awesome. So that's always a good thing. So you have been watching my Minecraft Storytime Part 5. I hope you enjoyed the story of me getting hit by a boat, and we'll talk to you next time with a new story.